of the human civilization. Why can't I just do a normal greeting for these live streams? Why can't I just do a normal greeting people with a nice little hello? Why do I have to come up with random things like hello human beings of planet Earth? I know why. Sometimes I just gotta change things up and make things weird. With that said, we're gonna start a new painting tonight. We finished the painting last night, or almost finished. I have a couple things I still want to do, but I'm loving how this is coming out. So this is a painting that's just filled with all of my marks from that just get built up over time. I'm just gonna keep building this up and building this up, and eventually we're gonna have something interesting. But while we work on that, let's go ahead and start this painting. So I have a couple of ideas I wanted to do. We're gonna build them on top of this little piece here. This little canvas. But let's go make something, people. How about it? Omizu, what are you making? You gonna make some sandwiches, or make some artwork? Or are you gonna make some music? What if I just did a live stream and instead of painting, I made music? I would totally be judged. People would be like, oh, one day he's doing painting and another day he's doing music. Like, he doesn't do anything. And it would be totally confusing. Like, I feel like the YouTube algorithm does not allow for people to explore multiple things, because you have to pretty much stay with a consistent algorithm. Otherwise, YouTube will never understand how to send you stuff, unless you're just really good at everything. But anyway, we've got this sketch here. We've got this painting started. We've got some of our colors down, so we're going to get started with this. Raya, what's up? You're making dinner. Yeah, this paint, I think it's I don't know if I painted this last night or the night before. I can't remember. I want to say I painted it last night or 2 nights ago. Let me get rid of some of the little boogers here. The paint boogers. What's going on, Raya? What are you making tonight? What is your creation of choice tonight? It's not fresh paint. I think this is like 2-day-old paint. So, still a little bit wet. It might be a little bit too wet to work smoothly on, but you can't always wait for the perfect environment to make things. Sometimes you just got to be like, hey, I'm going to go make this. So anyway, let's see how I can, I'm going to do this a little free because this is a sketch that I made, so I don't have to, like, stay true to any specific design or anything. Let's just see what I can come up with. Although if I had a choice, I don't know if I would have started this with a total brown. If I was gonna, start all over again. But hey, let's do it. Let's start with some large masses. I'm gonna start with some larger masses here. So we're gonna use poke the hole in my glove with one of my brushes. So let's see, Barn of Animals is a nice scenery. How am I doing today? I'm doing great. Mizu in the house. Mizu's an Emmett original. Ha! Yes, this is an Emmett original. This is a Ferguson. It's not a painting. We're making Fergusons right now. We're making a Ferguson. This isn't just a painting. It's a Da Vinci. I'm going to steal that from Michael Wilbur. Thanks. Good thing to learn from Michael Wilbur. It's good to learn from people that are older than the age of 60, older than the age of 70. I probably wouldn't have listened to Michael Wilbur if he was under the age of 70, but the fact that he just hit 70, I feel like has given him a lot of credibility. So we're just going to go with what he says. And he says that instead of calling it a painting, call it your name. Call it, it's not a painting, it's a Van Gogh. It's not a painting, it's a Scott. It's not a painting, it's a Omizu. I know Omizu's first name. I don't actually, Omizu Corey. It's not a painting, it's a quarry. All right, so let's just mess around, just see how we can create some shapes here. We're gonna actually start with some black here, and we're just gonna lay the black in right over here. And I don't know where this is gonna go. I have a sketch that I did that this is loosely based off of, but I don't know exactly, you know, how that's going to manifest itself, to be honest. It might be horrible, it might be good, we'll see. Yeah, we shall see how it manifests itself into this piece. This is a F around and find out kind of painting. An F around and find out painting. If you F around enough, you will find out what comes of it. So I'm just using blacks to add some shadows into this. Barn of animals, yes, barn of animals. And we're gonna go right into here. How can we find our personal expression here? I have no clue what this is. I have a loose sketch that I'm basing this off of, but you know, never know how these things are gonna turn out. It might be one of the best, might be one of the worst. Is that an acceptable way to paint? Like not knowing exactly what you're gonna be doing? Well, you know what, let me scratch that. There's times when I actually paint like that where I don't know exactly what I'm doing. But then there's times where I have a loose idea, but I don't know exactly how I want to paint it. Like I don't want to paint it in a realistic way. That is something I don't want to do. I don't want to make it a totally like realism thing. So, you know, I got to figure out, you know, what colors I'm going to use, basic shapes of things. You know, I'm using a lot of blacks. I use a lot of, you know, I use a lot of, what is this? This is not ivory black. What's it called? Not lamp black. Kind of ivory. Yeah, this is ivory black. What am I saying? I've always wondered why it's called like ivory black. Alexa, why is ivory black called ivory black?
From thesaurus.net. Ivory black is a term used to describe a type of black pigment that has a grayish-blue undertone.
Grayish blue. I don't see the grayish blue at all. Does anybody else see the grayish blue? I don't see any grayish blue. Make it a real painting? What do you mean by a real painting? You've lost me there. Are you calling my painting not real? That's an insult. I challenge you to a paint duel paint off. A paint duel. I challenge thee to a paint duel. Challenge thee to a paint off. You have insulted my artwork. Now we shall duel in paint. What is this? I really love this blue. I really love the saturation of this blue and how it's like making things pop. I like this. Gotta say, I really am enjoying it. It's just like this blue cube chilling, and you're intrigued no matter the outcome. All right. Well, thank you. We'll continue working this and just see what happens. Let's just keep exploring the variety of things, the possibilities, the world of possibilities. But yes. So Azraya, are you planning to start live streaming anytime soon? I know you've been working really hard to grow your YouTube channel and everything. So how's that? What's the story? What's the story there? What's the story that's happening? Happening. All right, let's go bring some green down here. Go grab a small brush here and grab a smaller brush. Let's add some whites because this is going to be little flower petals here. We're going to go little flower petals. Let's bring in some more white. So I do these sketches when I'm working on movies or TV shows, and I try not to make it too accurate because I'm always like concerned about someone one day being like, "What? He did that while on the movie set? That can't happen." You know, because the things that happen on a movie set are like confidential. So I don't want too much. If you base things that are based on people, you have to like really make it different enough that they can't, do any that, they're not gonna chase you down if it gets attention. So that's something I'm gonna work on. Don't worry, we can make that happen. You'll see if Michael's sitting for you. He will be your champion. Really expand our horizons and artwork creativity within a canvas. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that has been helpful to you, and I will continue to do so. That's the one wonderful thing. Some people say it's like really hard to stay like motivated and to like, and you often wonder like, how does some people stay so motivated to do things? And in my mind, I'm like, just knowing that there's someone waiting, someone that gets even a modest, even a mild amount of inspiration from you, like that's enough to keep you going. And, you know, I don't have kids, but I imagine that's kind of what having kids is like, you know? Like, if you have some kids, I'm not saying that anyone here is like a kid, but what I mean is like, you know, there's this element of a reason to like stay motivated. You know, you just have this reason. You just do. You stay motivated because people gain things from you, they gain inspiration, they gain ideas. And that's enough to motivate you. But you have to, I think the hardest part is reaching the point where it's like, oh, there are people that, you know, are waiting for me to jump on a live stream. You know, there are people that do that. So therefore, just keep the show going. I don't know what that is, but that piece right there, but it's very vibrant. So I'm gonna keep that. And let's see, what else can we do with this green? Honestly, I just, where do we do this? Bring some green down here. Sometimes I just don't know. All right, let's grab a gray. Here, finally some time to use up the rest of this gray here. I've had this tube of gray and I've always been like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. But this tube of like, so this is one of the starter kits that I got. One of the first like kits of oil paint that I got, MyArtScape. I actually recommend it. It's a great kit with like tons and tons of different colors. Some colors you'll use up much quicker than others. And then some colors you'll probably just sit around for who knows how long waiting for a moment like this. Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this. Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this. Good old Kelly Clarkson. That was courtesy of Kelly Clarkson. That's the only word I know from that. So those are the only words I know from that song. Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this. Some people da-na-na-na. That's it. Sorry, Kelly, I don't know the rest of the lyrics. Alexa, what are the lyrics to Kelly Clarkson's first major song?
Kelly Clarkson's first major song was A Moment Like This, which was released in 2002 after she won the first season of American Idol. The song became a chart topper and the best-selling single of the year in the U.S.
Alexa, what are the lyrics to A Moment Like This by Kelly Clarkson?
A Moment Like This by Kelly Clarkson begins with the lyrics, "What if I told you it was all meant to be? Would you believe me? Would you agree? It's almost that feeling we've met before."
Alexa, what are the lyrics to the chorus of Kelly Clarkson's song, Some People Wait a Lifetime?
From oldtimemusic.com. The chorus, with its powerful words, "Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this. Some people search forever for that one special kiss," speaks of the rarity and significance of finding true love.
Some people search forever for that one special kiss. All right. You know what? You know what's funny is I've really never listened to the lyrics of that song, and I used to think that song was like about just having that one special moment, but it's actually a romantic song. What? Mind blown. Didn't know that. New Age Boss Ross. All right, New Age. The New Age Bob Ross. Boss Ross. Boss the Ross. Let me bring in my little sketch pad. Got a little sketch pad here. I'm gonna put a little sketch pad right here. Right here. I'm going to bring you into my life, my sketching life, by adding a little sketch pad right here. So I try to get tickets to the Los Angeles, well, actually I didn't try to get them. I just looked it up to see if they were even available. If I really wanted to, I probably could just buy it in a different city. But I try to get tickets to, I try to look up tickets to Lincoln Parks. They're coming up with they're doing a tour. How exciting is that? Lincoln Park is doing another tour. And they were doing a tour in Los Angeles. They were going to have tickets for like $30 a piece. But of course, Los Angeles was already sold out. It wasn't even available. And honestly, this painting, where we're going to go with this, I don't know. I have these days where I just paint things and I don't know what's going to come of it. Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this. Let's go like this. And let's go with some ochre orange. I'm gonna grab some ochre, some orange, some ochre, yellow ochre orange. We're just gonna paint in the background here. Let's go like this, give it like a wood color. I really want to listen to Kelly Clarkson's song right now, but I know YouTube will totally catch me for a copyright violation, and I don't want that to happen. So, sorry everybody, you're just gonna have to enjoy this discussion of artwork. Just gonna enjoy this talk. Enjoy the talk. I mean, this is turning out to be something interesting. I wouldn't call it a masterwork, or maybe it is a masterwork. Maybe all of my super loose pieces that like are hard to understand end up becoming considered some of my masterworks. I had a friend who she had a couple shows, and she did a couple shows around the world, had her art in different galleries across different countries, major cities. I asked her, I was like, how, one of her paintings was called a masterwork. I was like, how do you decide what a masterwork is? She's like, yo, you just make the decision, man. Like, you just call it a masterwork. That's it. That is a secret to creating a masterwork. When you decide that it is a masterwork, and you know what? That's exactly how it was written in the galleries that she was in. It was like, just, they just listed her work as masterworks. Gosh, this requires so much paint to fill in these spaces. Maybe I could change up the color in each of these different sections here. Go with some more ochre-y stuff into here. New Age, BR, good old BR, Bobby Ross. Bob the Roster. Saw a funny movie. It's based on the life of Bob Ross, but I think it's called Painter or Painting, and it's with what's his name? The guy from Midnight in Paris. Owen Wilson. Yes, really interesting movie, and he plays like this Bob Ross like character, who's basically like, you know, a television painter, and like it's just hilarious. I think it's a funny show or a funny movie. It's not like super laugh out loud funny, but if you're a fan of Bob Ross and like satire and parody, you might enjoy it. You might get a kick out of it. You know what? Instead of constantly painting to the edges, let me see what happens if I just bring this to the sides here. Instead of all the way to the edge. Let me find different ways to express these color zones. Maybe we could get something interesting, you know? I don't know what any of these things are. I honestly, I can't really remember what any of these people were wearing, so just gonna have to make it up. Just gotta make stuff up. So here's my contemplation for the evening. I'm gonna share it with everybody. The thing that's causing me the most emotional turmoil in this painting, and I think this explains the importance of, you know, why it's usually good to like follow one mentor at a time rather than, you know, trying to experiment with a whole bunch of different ideas. And here's the mental turmoil that's influencing me right now is, so today I was listening in the gym to a book titled The Art Spirit by Robert Henry. And Robert Henry was an artist. I think he died in like the mid 1900s. Let me check. Alexa, did the artist Robert Henry, when was he born and dead?
Bermuda.gov. Robert Henry was born Robert Henry Cozad in Cincinnati, Ohio, on June 24, 1865, the son of a professional gambler and real estate developer.
All right. So I don't know if that's the actual guy, but Alexa, what are some famous paintings by the artist named Robert Henry?
From imdb.com. Robert Henry is known for Robot and Frank, 2012, Tower Heist, 2011.
Alexa off. No. So anyway, I think it was the first guy whose father was a gambler. I don't know if that's true. I feel like I heard that his parents were artists. But anyway, Robert Henry. Let's talk about him. So anyway, back to this mental turmoil that I'm going through right now. It's not turmoil. Alexa, what's the definition of turmoil?
A state of confusion, disturbance, or commotion is known as turmoil. It can be caused by a variety
Alexa off. All right. Okay, maybe I am in turmoil. I don't know. Turmoil sounds like too extreme. That's why I don't want to really use that term. But anyway, let's get back to the point, right? Let's actually talk instead of just saying stuff. so in the book, Robert Henry talks about this idea of like, you know, capturing the beauty of a figure's face. You know, this idea of capturing their beauty. And, you know, right now I'm focusing more on just expressing an idea from a scene. And, you know, at the same time, I'm like, am I capturing the beauty of these people? You know, which I'm not. Maybe I am. I don't know, but I don't think I am, because I'm focused on a separate thing, which is the only turmoil that's happening in my head right now. Should I be more focused on trying to, you know, capture beauty or whatever, or like, you know, the artistic, the artistness of everything, or am I okay just kind of like, you know, doing this expression of different people? So that's where I'm personally lost and wondering right now. But at the same time, it's not that serious. But it does make me wonder, you know, how much I should put, because this is pretty loose. This is pretty unusual. I'm keeping my figures pretty nondescript, right? You don't know exactly. You could tell these are humans, but, you know, am I capturing the beauty? And, oh yeah, so back to the Robert Henry thing about his book. You know, when I came into this painting, my focus is to capture more of the expression, a looseness, maybe finding some other trait that I can apply into this painting. But because I listened to Robert Henry this morning, I'm like, oh, maybe I should, like, you know, focus on the beauty of these characters, focus on the beauty of the line. And, you know, I guess there's a time and a place. And because I've already started with this like looseness, you know, that's where I am lost. But it's okay. I will find a way. Are these people sitting on that thing? I don't know. Maybe they are. Or even, how can I, you know, how can I make this into something? Or maybe I could just like follow these lines, you know, like maybe I could follow these lines that are in the background here, just find the expression that way, you know. There's already stuff in the background. Good old New Age Bob Ross. We should all aspire to be New Age Bob Rosses, right? Everyone should be like Bob Ross. No artist should ever have their own expression. Alright, here we go. So right into here. Bam. Right in here. Lots of grays. I think grays make for a really boring painting. So we're gonna have to eventually find a way to like spice this up somehow. But maybe it's kind of interesting to like remove the human element, make it look kind of boring, because you know the work kind of is like that. Basically, sit for many hours, and then you work, and then you sit for some more hours, and then you eat lunch, and then you sit for some more hours, and you work some more, and that's pretty much a day. Let's see about this little piece right here. So the problem with this palette knife, one of my first palette knives, is it doesn't bend. That's a problem, because if you want a good palette knife, you need a palette knife to be able to blend and be able to like mix colors on both sides. All right, let me experiment this with a red. Let me just do a red and a blue. I'm gonna focus on just using like a red and a blue. Keep like a limited palette from here and just see what I can do with this. So lay down a nice little red. And then we're gonna grab a blue. Actually, let's use one of our bigger tubes. Use our ultramarine, French ultramarine blue here. And how do we do this? Let's use one brush for blue, one brush for red. Try to go in. Everybody's got red lips, of course. And let's grab our blue brush. Our blue brush is going to pick up some blue. What is all this? Maybe we'll, I don't know. It's kind of like alien-like, like almost like really weird. I think these are just like fish characters. What if this was actually how I saw? I'm working from a reference that I drew, but very, very, very loosely. I'm just working very, very loosely from an image that I drew. But, you know, wouldn't it be wild if this is actually, like, how I saw people? Would that, like, freak anybody out? Like, if you had, like, a child and they were like, yo, mom, dad, this is what people look like to me. Like 100%, this is what people look like to me. Would that freak you out as a parent? Or what? I think sometimes I wonder about Picasso, and I think, like, how is it that everything that Picasso made was like aesthetically beautiful? There's like a talent to that, you know? Somehow everything, no matter how disfigured he did with his cubism, like, is it just a bias that I have, that when I see everything that Picasso's ever done with cubism, no matter like how like grotesque or unusual, somehow it's like the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Right? Is that is it just me? This is not how I see people. What? No, my cats bother me in in the mornings. Like they come up, they just like they'll like step on my face or like jump on my chest or like leap off the bed into the air and like land on like various parts of my body. And I wonder if they possibly like learned that from me. Like, you know, cuz when they're trying to sleep in the afternoons, I'll like just pick them up, pet them nonstop, nudge them with my head. Nudge them with my head. Uh, you know, pick them up and like just move them places where they might not want to be, like to the bedroom or something, or like on top of a different cat tree or whatever. And I'll just do these things to them. And I wonder if like that to them is about the equivalent of like them jumping on my face. And basically all they're doing is just taking after me of how I bother them while they're sleeping, so they bother me while I sleep. Grab some of this red. I want to paint over this face here. I don't know why I'm deciding to do this. I'm like asking myself, why don't I just like take the time to like sit down and like do a really nice painting of a portrait of somebody, like a celebrity, you know, someone who would like bring attention to this. But then, you know, there's just like this part of me that just feels like I have to do something like this that like would make no sense to anybody, and they would just like come to my channel and be like, this is the worst painting I've ever seen. Why would any grown ass adult sit here and do anything like this? Makes no sense. My 5-year-old, my 8-year-old, I could do this while sitting on the toilet, and you know, and yeah, I could do this while sitting on a toilet in the dark. Why would anybody do this, right? Why would any grown-ass person do this? I don't know. I just have this compulsion to do it, you know? It's like this compulsion. Anyone else ever have a compulsion to do things? Hopefully, like, you know, and fortunately, this is like a good compulsion, something that like doesn't actually like negatively affect anybody. But you know, I can imagine like there are people who probably, you know, this really gives me an appreciation for humanity in the sense of like, you know, there's probably people that have these compulsions to do things like lie or steal or like, you know, bad things and good things. But, you know, both the good and the bad, right? The yin and the yang. And it's like, why do people do things? It's like they just feel like they have to, you know? There's like this urge, this like thing that drives them to do something. But fortunately, you know, this is a positive use. Well, maybe it's not a positive use if it doesn't really lead to anything. But, you know, this use of energy, right? For painting. But some people, you know, they have these compulsions for other things. And, you know, why would someone cheat in a poker game and risk getting caught? They just feel like they have to. Don't cheat in a poker game, by the way. That's a horrible, horrible idea. What am I doing now? I'm just drawing. Paint is probably considered a good compulsion. Yes. What am I doing now? I just decided to start drawing shapes. I don't even know, like, this is one of those paintings where my brain just kind of takes over, but not in like a super positive way where I can make sense of things. It's just like, yo, let me draw some shapes. Let me draw some shapes, dude. Just draw some shapes. I swear it'll turn out fine. But it doesn't really do. I don't know. I mean, will it turn out fine? I don't know. Just draw some shapes, man. Let's just draw rectangles all around. This is not how you actually paint, by the way. This is cubism. Let's draw a cube. And just call it cubism. This will get them. Someone will surely be like, yo, cubism is not actually about cubes, bro. Someone who knows what they're talking about will say that. Let's see. Let's find out what we can do in this section here. Maybe we can actually just like bring down a nice shade of blue here. I don't know what this is. It's just a big, thick area filled with blue. That's it. Use your compulsions for good, people. Let's see, grab this. We're gonna do some more outlines in red and see where that takes us. My only question is, as I'm painting this, it's not like, at this point, it's not like, does it make sense? At this point, it's like, does it have a fine art feel? Does it feel either bad or expressive enough that you could possibly see this in a gallery somewhere and be like, what the heck is that? How is that recognized in a gallery? You know, that is a question that I often ask myself. It's not like, is it technically brilliant? Do I tell a story? Can I sell this? Sometimes my questions to myself are just visual alone minus the life story of the artist. Could I possibly see a work like this in some unusual gallery somewhere that like represents artists who are naive artists? Naive is a style, not naive as in artists who are naive, but like it's a style. Naive art, like untrained art styles. I'm like, oh, could this possibly be in one of those galleries? Let's go bring some white into this cube area right here. Cubism, people. You know what I don't like about Reddit? Is you can't just like say things to get a rise out of people. Like, I know that cubism isn't about cubes, but a lot of Reddit, like, they have a sense of humor, but like, they also don't understand sometimes. And sometimes I want to be like, you know, let me make something with a bunch of cubes and call it cubism. And then I know that that'll get downvoted because, you know, the ultra cubists will say that, you know, it's not cubism. And I know that, but you know, I can't really post it because it'll just get downvoted. Like, I think, honestly, I mean, you know, they say the internet is a great space to, like, express yourself. But, honestly, there's no place like a gallery that will accept weird art. Or your social media, of course. But if you have, like, weird, unusual ideas, you know, you gotta find places. You gotta find places that will allow it to be. So let's grab this red here. I'm gonna grab this red. It's a cube. Honestly, I could see something coming out of this. Like just if all I did was to like just abstract a bunch of cubes into this, that would actually be kind of neat. I could see this like being a thing. What if I just did another random cube up here? Let's see. Well, these are cubes, right? These could be cubes. These are very thin cubes. Get very small. Let's see what we can do with that. I don't know. We'll do white, black, and gray on these cubes since we already have the black. Is there an art teacher that ever said just make a really bad painting? Just like make a really bad painting that you're like, what the heck did I just do? Are there art teachers that do that? If so, what would the purpose of that be? That is the question. Let's grab some of this white here. We'll try to spread our white throughout in this section. We went to art school, Omizu, right? Omizu was an art school. What was your experience there, man? I went to a digital art school, so that's a little different. And I don't think that the experience, the ideas are the same. You know, it'd be funny if I just gave two of these people like cylinders for eyes. Let's see, we're gonna do a cylinder here. Or a cone. This is more of like a cone. So we're gonna grab some white along the front of here. Let's take our black. I'm just gonna lay down black all the way across the top here. Let's give this figure a sphere. I'm just gonna give her a sphere in front of her head. We're gonna darken the edges here. Where's the light coming from? I don't have a specific light source, but I'm just gonna kind of narrow it down to something. Accessing my most powerful mental imagery. Just a float. This is very like video game like. So this is actually a notepad, a sketch pad, and I'm holding this. But it's kind of like a video game. You ever like, have a video game where you got like two floating hands or something? You just got something floating in midair and you're holding it. Okay, this is what this kind of feels like. I like it. I like what's happening here. I don't really know or understand exactly what the meaning is, but it's there. We got a meaning, right? We got some meaning. It's my favorite sketch that I did the other day. This character in the center here. It's my favorite one of that day. Usually when I sketch a lot, I'll like, after I'm done like trying to sketch and do like realist stuff, I'll like spend, however much amount of time to try to do like cubist ideas. So like, some quick sketches of people messing around, and then, I'll mess around, do some normal sketches, and then I just can't help myself. But I gotta like, I get bored of just like normally sketching people, so I get into the unusual, get into the unorganized, disorganized people. Now this was actually the inspiration for this painting, which, you know, has turned out nothing like it. But who knows? Let's see where this goes. Let's go through, flip through some of these good old sketches. Trees, cat, more cats, weird cats, people, more people. I feel like these could definitely be something. I like this one right here. That guy. I love this guy. That is one really unusual face, and I like it. Definitely feel like I can do something with these. I just got to figure out how to like paint them well. I haven't really figured out how to like paint cubist portraits as much as I have spent time just experimenting with drawing them. One day I will spend more time with cubist portrait ideas. But anyway, that's my quick thing going through my sketchbook. What do we have? Go with my cad yellow hue. Let's find our red. I'm gonna grab our cad yellow hue. Ooh, I'm gonna paint some yellow into our faces here. See what we can do about scratching up the surface a little bit. Let's take a little scrubby brush here and just see what happens if you just like brushing teeth. I call this the floss. I think these are reflections of. Would you consider these artworks, a reflection of how I'm feeling inside? I don't know. What does it mean? Like what does it actually represent? I used to I feel like artists shouldn't let their frustrations show on their artwork. But it sure feels good to make the art. Like, it's not even that I'm frustrated. It's just like, I don't know. I'm just like, what can I do? What's an interesting way to make these paintings? And all I'm really doing is just scratching away some of the paint here. Just really scratchy. Creating an interesting texture. I would say that it does create an interesting texture, but I don't know if it's for the best. Let's wipe this off. Now let's actually use some of our brush here, our cleaning supply here. Let me see. Maybe I could do some with some oil pastels. When you start painting like this, you just realize, like, some days you just waste a lot of paint. If you don't like to waste things, I do not recommend picking up painting because, you know, can you paint without wasting paint? I feel like it's very possible to paint without wasting paint. It's very possible to paint without wasting paint. Like, sometimes I think of painting like when you eat, you know, you pay for food and then you eat, right? You pay for food and then you eat the food. And then sometimes you throw away food, and that's like, you know, throwing away money. And I imagine, you know, it could be easy to start to feel like that if you're just like painting and you just come up with like weird things that, like, who would ever buy this? I don't know. I like it. Now, I wouldn't even go as far as to call this like therapeutic. You could, but it's not where I would go with this. This is just like, I don't know, just something about this. All right, is it therapeutic? There's lots of things that are therapeutic. Let me find some more whites. More white. Got my new tubes of titanium white. Got them on discount, which means I can use it without any worries of wasting the white paint. So the problem I have with these sponges, so I've often like tried to experimenting with with the smudgy works of Francis Bacon. And what I found is that it can be really hard to get the texture that he got. I don't really know. I still haven't really figured out the texture technique that he achieved. And I want to say it's a sponge, but I just haven't, I don't know, there's something about the way that he like maneuvers paint around a surface that I find very unusual. And like, you know, I feel like I just look it up, but the most people just say that, like, you know, he used, you know, he would use like anything, whatever he had in his studio for like a painting. You know, he just used whatever. But also, I think these portraits aren't big enough to really play with this idea of a Bacon-esque painting. And he also wouldn't use like random shapes. So what I do sometimes is I'm like, oh, you know, this mark would go good here. Like, I would just be like, oh, this mark would go good here. But I don't think Francis Bacon did that. He was definitely much more specific, much more conscientious about the way that he would lay down his paints, from my understanding. much more conscientious. And specific, even though it looks like mixed chaos, you know, he was very specific about how he did things. Just enough to like create confusion, chaos. Let's go lay down. Let's go bring in some white here. This white is going to help create a little bit of madness into this area. What if we put like a face somewhere here? This is my version of what a face looks like if you were to remove the face and just like what your face would look like if you're looking at it from the inside. Look at these teeth. Look at these amazing teeth. So these are teeth if they were just kind of like rounded around you, and then the tongue right there. It's unusual, right? I do like how the colors are turning out. Let's try to find some whites. Let's go with some brown here. I would love to well, I say I would love to when I can just do it. As if like when I say I would love to, even though, you know, I could just do it. You know, I want to spend one painting where I just like figure out different mushing techniques like I'm doing right now. Just this like unusual mushingness of form and shape. Let's grab some of this yellow here. I'm just gonna go. All right. You know what? I'm gonna put this painting up. And take a break on this one. There's something I need to fix on my last painting. And then I'm gonna work on something else. It's good to like get the to do these types of paintings because I like get out of myself, you know, and you get out all that like messy energy, that chaos, that harbinger of chaos energy, and you go, hey, I want to do something serious now. So that's what I'm gonna do. Yuck. So I swear that I am almost done with this painting here. Almost finished. I have one thing that left that I really feel like needs to be done. That's what I said yesterday. There's one thing that's bothering me, and that's her neck. This side of her neck. And what I want to do is I just want to go in with some black. Black, dark brown, black. You know, just to reduce the overall length of her. Her shoulder doesn't need to be this wide. Does that feel more natural? Yeah, maybe a little bit. And then I'm going to take this neck area down just a little bit as well. Bring down the shoulder just a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, but ooh, that's a lot better. My goodness, you ever notice how like just little changes on a painting can totally transform things? Little updates. I am proud of my own work. So right here, what am I gonna do with this brown? I wanna like make it feel natural, like it's not edited. So I wanna lay down some of this color throughout, lay down some of these colors around. let's find a little bit of a white, just a hint of white, to just add some pop to this hair here, around this area, so that it looks natural. I purposely, you know, make the hair have all these little textures and stuff. Like, even if it's not totally accurate, I think I'm okay with this. I need to just raise this. You know what, if it's angled, I want to have a little bit more of a curve. So at some point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this up a bit. Let me find a good color here. I can use a shadow for this section. So maybe some blue shadow for this little area. It's under the neck. A bit of a blue shadow. No, it's a little too bright. I'm trying to find a place where I could play with this color a little bit. Does that look better? Yeah, a little bit more natural. There we go. And then I want to curve this section a little bit too. A bit more of a natural curve there. So at least it looks like she has a neck. And it's a little too pointy right there. I want to add some highlights into her hair too to give it a little bit more orange. Give it a bit more of a, like, variations in color. Now that I have my yellow, so let's go give it some more variation. Give it some yellow pops. You know what? I think that really added a bit more of a naturalness to the hair color. So I like that. I like where that's at. Maybe add some of these darker shades along the bottom here so we can have some different form. I think this looks okay. There's just one more thing that I'd like to fix, and that is the pointiness of the shoulder. Looks just a little too pointy, so I would like to round it out just a, well, you know what? A little bit of pointiness never hurt nobody, but just looks a little too pointy. I don't know. A little too pointy. So let's finish up with this brush. Is there anything? Yeah, I want to darken this area a little bit. Thanks, man. Bo and Nate are wonderful, full of support you are. I only hope that you get all the support you want and need for your dreams and hopes and aspirations in life. What do you want for Christmas, Bowenator? Let's make Bowenators. Let's help Bowenator manifest his dreams and his goals. You know, this is a great exercise that I've been working with. Basically, the exercise is to simply write your goals down as if they've already happened. And that's it. That's the secret, is just to write your goals down as if they've already happened. And I don't mind if her arm's a little big, but I just want to tighten up this shoulder, round it out, round out the shoulder. Maybe reduce the size of the arm just a little bit. Ever so delicate with this, because if I do it too much, it's going to show. Ah, there we go. All right, this is good. This is good. I like where this is at. And if I try to touch it anymore, something's going to happen. I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to mess it up. So let's just see how we can keep just this. I want to get some of the white in here. Let's see. What can I say about this painting? I'm trying to look at it from this side. Oh yeah, right in here, I feel like needs a little work. Shadow's a little too distinct. So let's see, how can we see, what color is this? This is brown, right? Oh yeah, and I need to add some highlight on this knee. This knee's kind of funny. So we're gonna add a little highlight onto this knee. Let's add some red and yellow. Well, now it looks kind of funky, but let's add some white. Needs white. That's a little better. I want to reduce this outline here. And there we go. Actually, you know what? I'm going to call this, well, right here too. It's like, it kind of disappears. It loses a little bit of form. So I'm going to add yellow, white, try to find like a good ochre color to match. Like a pink, yellow, red. I would be so much more efficient if I was like, if I knew exactly how I picked my colors. Well, I know how I pick my colors, but if I like knew exactly the combination of colors that I mix every time, which I don't always like do the best job with that. Needs a bit more white. Reduce the value just a little bit on that. Like not having the right highlights can make it look a little hollow. I don't mind having the wrong colors so much. I just don't want to have it look hollow. This forearm's a little big. That's not gonna bother me too much. Maybe I can reduce it just a little bit. So let's do that. Let's reduce the forearm size here just a little bit. I'm gonna give her some density, some mass into this section here. And let me try to find the highlight up here. Gosh, I feel like I could work on this for a long time, but you know, I often feel like there's usually a point in a painting where, you know, obviously if you're a realist painter, you go in with a whole different technique, right? If you're a super hyper realist painter, you're gonna go in and you're gonna sketch out everything perfectly. You might, you know, even have a technique with which to lay down the exact stencil drawing and get it all perfectly laid out onto the surface. And all it becomes is a matter of mastering exactly what colors you want to put down with paint and where. And when you go with that kind of technique, you're going to come out with a whole different type of painting. I think this way of doing things is a little bit more time consuming, in the sense that you have to constantly you're constantly looking to repair things. You're constantly looking for things that are changing, and you know, transitions in color and you know, form, because you didn't sketch it out perfectly beforehand. And you know, I mean, positives I think are that you do get a bit more expressiveness, you do get a bit more variation. You do, start to develop a way of doing things that's a little different, looks different, and when things look a little different, people notice. But at the same time, you create more trouble for yourself because you're trying to achieve this something of a realist style, but you never quite hit it. And I think that can be distracting if you let it bother you. But for now, I really like where it's at, and I don't see any like parts that I'm really like, oh, this. Well, maybe the foot should have some highlight down the center here. I just don't want it to look hollow. Because when you look up close, you kind of, you can see the effects of the oil brushes, which the effects are basically that, there's like these little translucent areas that almost makes these figures look as if, they're see-through. Because they are. You can see through the oil paints to the layer below. And if you're not careful, it will make them look like hollow figures. But I like where it's at now. I like where the hands are. Let's see, this section right here. She looks okay. She looks great. She looks fantastic. She's got more yellow. She's got more red. They're both warm colors. They look like they got blood coursing through their veins in a sense that, they're not fully pale. And, there's variation in skin color. I think they got a little too much red, but, I don't mind some of the reds to show through because it allows it to have like a, colorfulness, an expression, a variation. Let me just see. All right, what can I do? Let me see if there's anything I can possibly do about this forearm area here. I want to find a really small tinted, really lightly tinted blue. And maybe I can reduce the size of this arm here. I'm gonna freehand it. That's free-handed, people. Don't recommend this. Don't try this at home. Alright, I did the job of reducing the size of the forearm just a little bit, so that's okay. Just the tiniest bit is all I wanted. And now there's just too much purple, so let's try to find a couple of, little shades of like some pops of color that I could just like put in here just to, just to create the illusion of skin and not just like a deep shadow. Maybe add in a little bit of this white yellow. Excuse me. Wow. Try to find some more roundness. All right, I think now I can say I'm done with this. And we're going to wrap up for the night. All right. So we started with something a little bit wacky that I didn't really know where it was going. Felt a little lost, a little confused, a little frustrated, but also at the same time expressive. Felt like, you know, I was really getting out of my head. Maybe something that I wanted to get at that I don't even really know what that is, but I did. A bit of messiness, a bit of chaos into our last painting. Got our ideas onto a canvas. And then now it's just a matter of, like, you know, cleaning off our brushes. Clean off this brush. Got one more brush and two little palette knives to clean up. So we made something. We're almost done with this. Hopefully I get done with this soon, because I know YouTube and my other social media platforms, they don't like art with nudity. They prefer art to not have any nudity whatsoever. But I think I only get allowed to do this and still stream because this is considered fine art nudity, which I don't know exactly the differentiator, but as long as it's, I guess, not gratuitous or for the purpose of, you know, trying to create a certain effect in people, as long as it's not gratuitous, it is accepted by YouTube. So lucky for us, that is not the type of artist I am, which means we all get to connect and stream and enjoy each other's digital company. With that, here we go. So I guess we're done for the night. So if you're still here, thank you. If you're not here, oh my goodness. I always see stuff that I'm like, I should have fixed that. What? You know what? We can just leave it. There's things that are unimportant. That the only reason why I would want to... There are definitely things that are unimportant to fix. I'm not going for real camels. I'm not going for real goats or real bunny. Not even going for a hyper-realistic landscape. So whatever we have now is great. I could spend forever and a day updating and updating. You know, real artists back in the day used to spend an entire lifetime to do a painting. But artists today, they're a totally different animal. So, hey, take care, everyone. Good night.